Superfood Evolution presents Wild Edible Greens, Foraging Your Own Wild Superfoods. Wild edible greens are leafy green plants that grow in wild, unattended places all over the world. There are specific varieties that are edible to humans and can be picked for free in nature's garden. Foraging for wild food is one of humankind's most basic survival instincts that has long been forgotten since the invention of large-scale agriculture. While cultivated foods have their place in modern-day living, there is no comparison to the wild nutrition these edibles can provide. Not that we don't love kale, bok choy, and collards, but there is a nutritional component that we have had to give up for these larger-sized leaves, sacrificing quality for quantity. Wild greens are the origins of all hybridized green leafy vegetables we know today. Fortunately, we can still consume our wild nutrients by gathering edible wild greens when we find them prolifically growing in uncultivated patches of earth. Because the leaves are so concentrated, you don't need to eat big bowls full like you would other traditional greens and lettuces. It is good to be familiar with about 10 to 20 wild green types, what they look like, and where they thrive in your local region or traveled locations. It is always important that you positively identify all wild edible greens before you eat them, as there are many poisonous plants and lookalikes. The benefits of edible wild plants. Natural non-hybridized leafy greens can be a great wild superfood adjunct to a health-promoting diet and lifestyle. These greens and herbs are often called weeds because they are tenacious, hardy, and tend to propagate quite easily when given the slightest opportunity. This is not so with standard garden vegetables that cannot thrive in wild habitats. It is extremely beneficial to eat foods that are innately strong and vigorous. These are signs of their potency as wild superfoods, containing super concentrated amounts of vitamins, minerals, and chlorophyll that you simply cannot get from spinach or butter lettuce. The taste of wild edible greens can take some getting used to if your palate is accustomed to cultivated varieties. Most have strong green flavors and others can be quite bitter. These are qualities of wild edible plants that help to stimulate digestive juices and cause you to easily assimilate their nutrients. These tastes can be camouflaged if they're not to your immediate liking in blended drinks or in green juices and green smoothies. Wild greens are a great medicinal food source for detoxing the tissues and clearing the lymph system. And it just so happens that they tend to grow prolifically in the spring and fall, the perfect seasons for cleansing the body. Where do they grow? Wild edible greens can be wildcrafted all year long, depending on the climate. Most, however, are abundant in areas with some rainfall and partial shade, but not always. They can be found growing in many different places. They are opportunists, and their seeds can travel over many miles to their newfound home. This may include a number of locations, such as lush gardens and backyards as weeds, wild fields, forests, sea cliffs, mountaintops, foothills, riverbanks, urban parks, or even cracks in a city sidewalk. The list of our top favorites further in this video are common edible wild greens that can be found in many moderate climates around the world. Rewilding with wild greens and herbs. We believe it is important to get out into wild, natural places on a regular basis to help rekindle our direct physical connection to the natural world that is often lost in today's computer-based indoor society. There is a large rewilding movement occurring here in the U.S. that is attempting to re-educate the general population about the benefits of our wild plant friends, as well as how to rewild yourself and preserve the intrinsic earth-based wisdom that is within all of us. Developing relationships with wild edible plants brings great meaning to life and brings health to the body, mind, heart, and spirit. This indescribable feeling of deep connection to nature is one of the greatest things you can do for yourself. Twin Eagles Wilderness School. top wild edible greens list. Chicory. Chicory is one of the great wild edible greens that is popular in many parts of the world. The tender young shoots are an excellent digestive bitter, and the roots have been used for centuries as a medicinal and tasty tea. Some people mistake chicory for dandelion because the leaves are somewhat similar, but they are usually a bit bigger in size. Chicory leaves also have more irregular tooth-shaped leaves and are much longer and often grow quite tall compared to dandelion greens. Chickweed. Chickweed is a soft, delicate, wild edible green that grows in abundance in cool, wet, shady locations with partial sunlight. Its chlorophyll-rich leaves are known for their therapeutic effects at cleansing the lymphatic system. Chickweed is exceptionally great at cooling and soothing heat conditions and inflammation in the body. It has a long history of use in European folklore as a skin compress and skin healer when eaten or used topically. Dandelion. The young leaves of the dandelion plant, called dandelion greens, are probably one of the most famous edible weeds known around the world. They are helpful as a natural diuretic and detoxifier, as well as a digestive stimulant that will increase bile flow and improve fat metabolism. The leaves are tooth-shaped and smooth, growing close to the ground as opposed to tall and upright. Another version, called false dandelion, is a common look-alike but has rough textured leaves. It is not poisonous but not very tasty. The root of dandelion can also be used as a gentle cleansing tea for the liver. Dock. There are many varieties of docks, but they all have similar characteristics. For a wild edible green, their leaves can become quite large in size and have been used as a wild leaf vegetable for millennia. Dock leaves are known to have high levels of vitamin A, protein, iron, and potassium. They do contain some oxalic acid like spinach, so they should be eaten in moderate amounts. The roots of dock, especially yellow dock, also act as a cleansing herb to the liver and can be decocted as a tea. Fennel. Wild fennel grows abundantly in many coastal foothill climates and can mature to heights of about 8 feet. All parts of the fennel plant are edible. We harvest the young shoots, feathery leaves, stalks, and sometimes the bulbs. The fennel seeds can also be collected in the fall season. Fennel is a carminative and is especially soothing to the stomach, helping to relieve gastrointestinal upset. It is a common respiratory aid as well as a galactagogue, increasing breast milk. Fennel has a high amount of flavorful essential oils and is used in all parts of the globe as a culinary spice ingredient. Grape leaves. Wild grape leaves grow on beautiful trellising vines and are a lovely sight to behold, intertwining through a forest or alongside a riverbank. They have quite a lot of fiber content and are good sources of vitamin A, K, iron, and calcium. The leaves can be eaten raw, but are also traditionally cultured in a brine solution and used as a pickled food wrap. They have been harvested since ancient times throughout the Mediterranean and are a main ingredient for Greek-style dolmas. Lamb's quarter. This wild edible green ranges from 1 to 6 feet in height and is a wild relative of the spinach plant. Lamb's quarter grows abundantly in most moderate climates around the world. The undersides of the leaves are often whitish in color, making it somewhat easy to identify. The shoots, leaves, and stems are all edible. They can be eaten fresh or steamed as a green vegetable. Lamb's quarter has been a common wild food source in European cultures for hundreds, if not thousands of years. It is related to the grain quinoa, and the seeds can be gathered and cooked in much the same way. Mallow. Also called Malva, this hardy wild edible comes from the Greek word malakos, which means to soothe. The leaves of Malva or mallow are soft to the touch and are soothing and calming to the digestive tract. The leaves, roots, and flowers of the wild mallow plant are all edible and have a long history of use in herbal medicine as a wild food source. The root of the mallow plant, called marshmallow root, is used to treat coughs, sore throats, and helps prevent congestion. Milk thistle. Yes, it's true. You can actually eat milk thistle leaves. You must, however, make sure to cut off the thorny bits around the edge of the leaf, which is easily done with a pair of kitchen scissors. The leaves are best eaten as a steamed vegetable as opposed to a raw salad green. Milk thistle is from the artichoke family, and the stems and dethorned heads are also edible. Milk thistle seeds are well known for their cleansing benefits for the liver. They can be harvested when the plant reaches maturity and powdered for medicinal use. Miner's lettuce. This green is known as miner's lettuce because it was used extensively by the California gold rush miners as a valued food source that provided nourishment in times of food scarcity. Its high vitamin C content also significantly helped prevent scurvy for these mining populations. Miner's lettuce, also called winter purslane, can be found in many parts of the world and often grows close to chickweed, enjoying shade and springtime weather conditions. Being California natives, it is one of our all-time favorites. Plantain. Plantain leaf is a long, slender, leafy green and low-growing plant with striped indents running up its leaves. The new shoots of the plantain are the most tender and appetizing to consume. The older leaves can become quite astringent, but can be used topically as a poultice for skin ailments and bee stings. The seeds of the plant, also known as psyllium seeds, are extremely fibrous, mucilaginous, and help to increase bowel movements. Purslane. Purslane is a succulent green that generally grows in warmer climates throughout the summer season. It is considered an exotic weed that is specifically known to contain higher levels of omega fatty acids compared to other wild varieties. It grows easily and fruitfully once it has established itself. Everything but the root can be eaten raw, pickled, steamed, or juiced. It is used as a wild culinary delicacy in many countries around the world. Salad burnet. Salad burnet is a wonderful tasting wild gourmet salad green that is very drought tolerant, typically growing in drier climates and grassy foothill regions. The wild edible green leaves of salad burnet look similar to cilantro but taste like cucumber. The leaves grow off the center stem and can be removed by simply pinching your fingers down the stem toward the base of the plant. As the name implies, it adds a very delicious flavor to most any salad. Violet leaves. Violet leaves come from the same plant as the little tiny fragrant-smelling wild violet flower and are the wild relative of the cultivated pansy flower. Many people do not know the leaf of this wild violet variety is actually edible with a nutty, spicy flavor that is also recognized as a powerful blood purifier. Violets are easy to locate when the flowers are present, but can also be identified by their scalloped, heart-shaped leaf. They are known to take over untended areas of a garden, but also thrive in temperate springtime climates in foothill locations with appropriate sunlight. Watercress. Watercress is a fast-growing, wild edible green that is found in aquatic areas like ponds, streams, or slow-moving waterways. It is similar to nasturtium leaf with a very spicy, peppery, sweet flavor that can be a nice addition to a salad in small amounts. This wild food is one of the original descendants of the brassica family and related to cultivated species like cabbage, kale, and broccoli. Watercress is said to be one of the oldest known leafy greens consumed by humans. It is always important to make sure the water feeding wild watercress is clean and free of toxins. The cycles of wild edible greens. These are plants that come up year after year from either the same rootstock or from the seeds that they release. Some years, however, are more prolific than others, depending on the amount of rainfall and other factors. Sometimes seasonal conditions allow for other wild edible green varieties to emerge rather than the ones you might be used to in your local environments. Thanks for watching. And for more on specific wild edible greens, visit Superfoods for super health. Please give this video a thumbs up if you found it useful.